Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So I have here the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. So in this video, I'm going to compare this phone against the Huawei Mate X2, which I have, it's tough doing this on a moving bus, but which I have here, the Mate X2. So when I first got my hands on the Huawei Mate X2 like 4 or 5 months ago, I was visibly giddy in the video because I thought Huawei's Mate X2 fixed a lot of the stuff that people were complaining about the foldable phone. For example, the noticeable gap when you fold the phone, which we've seen in the original Fold and the Fold 2, has been fixed in the Mate X2. This is mostly a completely flat fold. The second thing that the Mate X2 managed to fix is that it kind of got rid of the crease. There is still a crease if you look at it at a really extreme angle, but for the most part it is much harder to see and find than on the previous two Samsung Galaxy Folds. The third thing that blew my mind with the Mate X2 is that Huawei managed to cram a flagship camera system into the Mate X2, including, most importantly, a 10 times periscope zoom lens. And the main camera here is also the exact same main camera used in Huawei's flagships, a 50 megapixel camera. Up until that point, the Galaxy Fold 1 and Fold 2 had a compromised camera system that wasn't as good as Samsung's slab flagships. So at the end of my Mate X2 video, I concluded that I'm pretty sure by the time Samsung released the Fold 3, they're going to bring all those improvements to the Fold 3 too. Well, the Fold 3 is here, and turns out I was wrong because there is still a gap, there is still a crease, and the camera system here is not Samsung's best. Definitely not on the level of the S21 Ultra. But that's okay because Samsung decided to make practical improvements to the Fold 3. Improvements that will probably matter more to casual users and mainstream consumers, even if a phone geek like me who's willing to spend is a little bit disappointed. So yeah, even though the Galaxy Z Fold 3 still has a noticeable crease, but it might be needed because Samsung's hinge is better than the hinge in the Huawei Mate X2 because it can stay locked in place. This is super useful because you can take selfies or do video calls or watch YouTube videos hands-free. The phone can basically prop up on its own because of that hinge. Samsung calls it flex mode. You cannot do that on the Huawei Mate X2 or the Xiaomi Mi Mix Fold. So yeah, the Fold 3 still has a crease, but the hinge is also better. Second, so the camera system in the Fold 3, it's not a true flagship camera system. There is no periscope zoom lens. It's just a pretty mediocre 2x telephoto zoom. But then Samsung managed to lower the price of the Z Fold 3. The Z Fold 3 starts at $1,800 US. Now this is still pretty high for a lot of people, but this is cheaper than the Fold 2 and the Fold 1. And it is like $1,000, $1,000 US cheaper than the Huawei Mate X2. So while a geek like me may complain that, oh, the Huawei Mate X2 has a better zoom lens, to be honest, would you pay $1,000 extra for a better zoom lens? Most of you may answer no. Samsung also added other practical improvements to the Fold 3. For example, the Fold 3, it's a little bit lighter and thinner than the Fold 2 and significantly lighter than the Huawei Mate X2. And it also has IPX8 water resistance, which the Huawei Mate X2 does not have. So in my opinion, the Mate X2 and the Fold 3 kind of take two different approaches. Okay, I've arrived at my destination. This is Yunlong, and the footage you watch right now is shot with the main camera of the Z Fold 3. So I'm still able to see myself right now because of the unique form factor of this phone. I'm shooting with the main camera, but I'm seeing myself in the outside cover screen. I also want to add that I know this comparison between the Z Fold 3 and the Mate X2, it's purely for those who are curious about technology. It's a hypothetical situation because for 90% of you guys watching this, maybe even higher, maybe like 95% of you guys watching this, you cannot buy the Mate X2 because it is only sold in China right now. If you import it to wherever you live, it might cost you like $5,000 and the phone cannot run Google. So for almost all you guys watching this, you can probably walk to a mall a couple of weeks from now and buy the Galaxy Z Fold 3, but you probably cannot buy the Mate X2 unless you have a lot of connections or money. But it's still worth a comparison for me because I like to get my hands on all the latest gadgets. I don't just want to, cover things in a vacuum. So let's check out the ultra wide angle camera of the Fold 3. So I do want to clarify that earlier when I said the Fold 3's camera is not like super amazing. It's not that it's bad, it's just not as good as the premium $1,400 slab flagships like the Galaxy S21 Ultra, Xiaomi Mi 11 Ultra, and the Huawei P50 Pro. If you take out all the like top dog $1,400 premium flagships, the Galaxy Z Fold 3's camera is still really good, as you can see here. Now I'm gonna shoot a similar video with the Huawei Mate X2. Okay, and then we have the Mate X2's ultra wide angle camera here, and this is how the ultra wide look on the Z Fold 3. Mate X2, Z Fold 3. Let's switch back to the main camera. Okay, so main camera now, both of these videos can switch between the main and ultra wide in the middle of filming. Now I don't know who's winning the video performance right now in just the ultra wide and the main camera, but if we zoom, the Mate X2 should win because it has a periscope zoom lens. So let's find something to zoom into. Okay, we'll zoom into this side. Okay, so the Fold 3 here is 10 times zoom. This is the maximum zoom distance that you can do. Okay, here's 10 times zoom, but you can go deeper, all the way up to 30 times. If you back out to something more reasonable, like 15, it actually looks pretty good. Okay, let's test out the cameras a bit, starting with the Z Fold 3. So we have standard 1x image, ultra wide, and then we'll go up to 10 times zoom. Okay, now we have the Mate X2. So we have standard, ultra wide, 10 times zoom. Okay, so you know how at the beginning of the video I said the Mate X2 has better camera hardware than the Fold 3. This is not debatable because the Mate X2 has a main camera with a larger image sensor and also a periscope zoom lens, whereas the Z Fold 3 has a pretty pedestrian image sensor size and a 2x telephoto zoom lens. But then software matters a lot in smartphone photography these days. It's not just about hardware. Some of these shots here, I actually prefer the Fold 3's image. Now, if you are zooming, then obviously the Mate X2 wins. But if lighting is good, then the Fold 3 might actually produce better shots. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is these two phones' different approach to screen sizes, aspect ratios, dimensions. So I watched a video from the Tech Chap recently. I'm a fan of his work, by the way. Tech Chap was talking about the Z Fold 3, and he had a complaint that he felt like the Z Fold 3's two screen sizes, either this or this, and neither screen sizes were ideal. So he felt that when the phone is folded, the Fold 3 is a little bit narrow, a little bit cramped. So when you're typing, it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you get more typos. But then conversely, if you unfold the phone, then it becomes, you have to hold it with two hands. This is not a phone that you can use with one hand easily. It's a two-hand phone. So he felt like the two sizes of the Z Fold 3 are either too small or too big. And I kind of agree with that. That's one of the reasons why when I got the Mate X2, I liked it a lot, because the Mate X2, when it's folded, it feels a lot more like a typical slab smartphone. But then another YouTuber whose work I really admire, Mr. Mobile, made a good point too. He said that he prefers Samsung's approach because when the phone is folded, it is so small, it is clearly a one-hand phone. Whereas the Mate X2, even when it's folded, it might be too big for some people. But if we're talking about refresh rate, then the Galaxy Z Fold 3 wins. This phone has a 120Hz refresh rate on the outside and the inside. Both screens are 120Hz, whereas the Mate X2 has 90Hz refresh rate on the inside and the outside. But then that also means the Z Fold 3 suffers in battery life a little bit. Now, I've only been using this phone for about 3.5 hours. When I got the phone, it was at 50% battery, and right now it's already down to 16% battery. So that means in a little more than 3 hours, the phone already dropped 34% battery. The Mate X2, I did not track battery today, but I've been using this phone on and off for a few months now, and battery life on this is good. Like on the Mate X2, it can actually last you an entire 12-hour day out, whereas I don't think the Z Fold 3 can. Okay, so my main camera ran out of battery, so I'm gonna have to film the final part of this video with the Z Fold 3. This is the ultra wide angle camera. Everything looks good, although this is a pretty well lit street. But once again, I can see myself right now thanks to this really cool design. So like I said at the beginning of the video, like I said earlier in the video, it's almost like a pointless comparison between the Mate X2 and the Fold 3, because 90% or 95% of you watching this right now cannot buy the Mate X2. It's too unattainable, it's too expensive, and it doesn't run Google, which is a big deal for a lot of you guys watching. For most of you guys watching, the Fold 3 really is the only option in town. And I think Samsung knows this. That's why Samsung didn't really push too hard with camera innovations this year, because there's really no competition. Now, I wish we live in a world in which Huawei wasn't crippled by the US government, that Huawei was allowed to sell in the US with Google. If that's the case, the Mate X2 would be on sale in the US right now, in Europe right now. That may give Samsung a little bit more pressure to put a real zoom lens into the camera, because right now the zoom lens on the Fold 3, it's pretty weak, although the main and ultra wide cameras are pretty good. But ultimately, the Fold 3 is a more polished device. It has water resistance, which is super important. Like right now, if it starts raining, I can keep filming with this phone. I can't do that with the Mate X2. I have to put the Mate X2 in my pocket. And also, the Fold 3 supports S Pen. Now, I'm not that big of an S Pen user, but there are people out there who swear by the S Pen. Like, I know friends who like to sketch for fun. So for them, being able to sketch on a tablet-sized screen that can also fit into their pocket is pretty damn cool. And ultimately, the Fold 3 is $1,000 cheaper. I mean, that cannot be overstated. $1,000 is a hell of a lot of money, and the Fold 3 is $1,000 cheaper. So, yeah, that's about it for this video. Fold 3 versus the Mate X2. I have more videos coming up, including the Honor Magic 3 Pro Plus, and I'm gonna do a review of the Flip 3 and the Fold 3, like a full-on review pretty soon. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Take care.